I'm Matt.
And I'm Josh.
And welcome to Tech Tested. Today we're going to be diverting away from our regular tech channel kind of feel, and we're going to be going into a discussion on the new Star Wars movie, The Force Awakens.
We have a feeling that our two audiences probably align. So we just saw the movie this weekend. Obviously, probably couldn't have seen it earlier. So,
yeah, here's our opinion. Spoiler alert! If you haven't seen the movie, shut off this video now. We are going to be discussing a lot about what happened, so we don't want to be throwing anything out there that you guys are going to wish you hadn't known going into the movie. But I guess our first point that we want to discuss is our overall opinion of the movie. So Josh, how about you start with yours?
So before we get into anything else, I thought it was an absolutely fantastic movie. I think it's sitting at somewhere at like 95% on Rotten Tomatoes right now, and I totally agree with that. And I want to make sure to make clear that I thought it was a great movie because things I'm going to say are going to sound really nitpicky, and that's why Star Wars fans are the worst, such as ourselves. But I enjoyed it. It was good. It was great.
My opinion is it was outstanding. I went into the movie theater thinking I was going to be sorely disappointed based on some things I saw in the previews, which I will discuss with you guys. But overall, I thought it was a fantastic movie. I was literally blown away. I think J.J. Abrams did a fantastic job, and that's basically where I'm going to leave it. And then, let's move right along.
So let's talk about characters.
Yeah, move on to characters. Let's start with favorite characters in the movie. Josh, what was yours?
You're going to spring that on me? I really liked Rey. I thought she did a really good job. I mean, for one, it was nice seeing someone in the Star Wars universe that was a main character that was a girl, because it by that alone, it kind of shook it up a little bit. But it didn't feel contrived. It wasn't like they were trying to be PC and like shove this character into the movie. She just felt like a natural part of the Star Wars universe. Like in the original Star Wars, you kind of had Leia, but she wasn't in like the same hero category.
She was a heroine, but she was not of the same caliber as Rey is in this movie. I think Finn, I was really worried at the very beginning when they brought him into the scenes. I thought he was going to be a very cheesy character, and he started off that way. Yeah. But he
had some cheese throughout.
He did.
It was good. It was Star Wars has always had that Star Wars cheese.
It did, and that was good, but it wasn't overwhelming. And I think I think he's a great actor, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
And another thing that I want to point out is throughout the movie, especially something, if you saw the previews, this is one thing that bothered me, is the scene of him with the lightsaber. You saw that in the previews, and you automatically think, oh gosh, they flippin' made him a stormtrooper into a Jedi in one movie. That can't happen. I was really upset about that. But
well, actually, let's talk about that for a second, because that's interesting. The trailers were very misleading on purpose on a bunch of points.
Oh, absolutely.
So they made you think, first of all, that Finn was going to be the Jedi figure, perhaps the apprentice in the movie.
Yeah.
And he wasn't.
But I'll play on that a little bit while you think about that. The thing I like is Finn was able to wield a lightsaber, which typically you wouldn't agree with. But being a stormtrooper, he had formal combat training. So for him to be able to not really hold up in a fight against the Sith, but he was able to hold his own with a lightsaber, and he did show his preference towards a blaster, which is I think that was fitting. He was wishing he had a blaster when he had the lightsaber, and it's not like he was blocking bullets with a lightsaber.
That would have been dumb.
That would have been really dumb.
Also, it's an accident, which would have been funny.
Yeah, but no, I think they played his ability to semi-wield a lightsaber very well. I was really pleased with that. At the very end of one of the trailers, it said, all you have to do is let it in. And I'm pretty sure that was a reference to the Force. That's not how the Force works in Star Wars. You have to undergo a lot of training to be able to wield the Force. I mean, Anakin, at the age of, 7? How old was he? Or 10. I think he was 10 in Phantom Menace, was considered too old to begin his training. So for somebody to pick up that just by letting it in, I've had a really big problem with that. And you're gonna think, if you've seen the movie, you're gonna think, oh my goodness, well, Rey doesn't have any formal training. We'll get to that. Actually, we're in the character section.
Yeah. So
anyway.
I mean, let's talk about that. The way
I have a theory about this, by the way.
The way I interpreted it was basically that she has a lot of the Force in her already, or
Okay, I'll give you guys my theory right now. My theory is the movie talks about Luke formally training some apprentices when Kylo Ren ends up turning and killing presumably all of them. My theory is Rey, at a very young age, like before she was able to remember, had formal training from Luke Skywalker and was one of his apprentices and was shipped off to this distant planet to be protected from Kylo Ren. That is my theory.
I hadn't thought about that at all. That's interesting. I had assumed in the movie that she was just like naturally blessed with the Force. Like it's something.
I agree that she is. She's on a different level than pretty much
not everyone
else.
can become a Jedi. You have to have a factor about yourself.
Yes.
And I was just assuming that she had always had it, and she's kind of just learning to access it. But they did a good job of not making it over the top. It's not like oh wow, she's already using the Force like this. There's lots of mistakes that she makes, little things she doesn't execute perfectly.
She does, but I feel like she did too well to not have formal training, and I really think she was one of Luke's apprentices.
That's a good point. And whenever you think about Star Wars as a whole, this followed a formula. Like the Star Wars first movie in the trilogy is our third first movie in the trilogy. It followed tons of the same tropes that we've seen in the other movies, and if the same is going to go for the others, that means that there's really big plot points that are going to change the way that we see things in this movie that are going to happen later.
Yeah, but let's save that section for our plot. No, he's absolutely right, though. But we'll discuss that later. Other characters, we don't want to get too in-depth in this, but those were very important characters that needed to be discussed. Mm-hmm. I'm going to point out one of my favorite characters, the new one, Poe. I thought Poe was just... I thought Poe was a badass.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the scene where he's like, "You need a pilot. I need a pilot." Yes, I looked right through your strategy here. I do like that they kind of limited his appearance in the movie, though. Gives you a little bit of a mysterious feeling about him. You don't know the character yet. Mm-hmm. Since they got rid of Han, as much as I didn't want to see Han go, I think he went in a fantastic way. We'll discuss that in a moment because I'm still on Poe. Yeah. Poe, I think, is lined up to be the replacement persona of Han. Oh, not a replacement for Han, but the replacement persona.
Yeah, he was clearly meant for that purpose. And whereas for Finn, I thought he was the least Star Wars-y character in the movie. Not in a bad way, but I feel like as far as the feel of the Star Wars characters that we know already, he was a little bit outside of that in the way he talked and some of his interactions with people.
Yeah. Almost akin to Jar Jar Binks and his clumsiness and like inability to like know what's going on.
Except not the most annoying person.
Yes.
Poe, on the other hand, exact opposite. I feel like he is the most Star Wars character introduced.
He was just like he was a priceless character. I think he'll be a huge asset to the series going on.
And what's nice is that we've been introduced to a bunch of new characters, and we've got to spend a lot of time with some characters in the movie, but it's clear that these other characters will take a significant role in the others. It's not like we're just going to burn out on Poe not Poe, but Ren and Finn.
Yeah.
For a whole trilogy. We have a large cast of supporting characters that they're going to have to work with throughout the rest of the trilogy. And
speaking to that, the characters that return, now I'm thinking we've got even Admiral Akbar who's back in it. Admiral Akbar, we have Han, Leia, Luke, Chewie, R2-D2, C-3PO, the core group. Those are the last few I said were the core group. C-3PO I really thought they could have done without. I'm not a huge fan. But I feel the way he came into the movie was perfect, so abrupt and intrusive. Oh my gosh, C-3PO's there. Didn't even think about him.
The things with C-3PO and R2, I feel like it was a little pandery. They kind of it didn't really feel like it had a good reason to be there.
I agree, but they've been there since the beginning. I mean, since episode 1. What other character in this series has been there since episode 1?
But at the same time, you have R2 in there. And what purpose does he serve? He has the map, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. He's just like sitting there.
You're right. They didn't have to bring him back.
It felt like one of those things, and I have more to say on this later, but there were things in there that annoyed me that kept taking me out of the movie because it felt like they just kept wanting to remind us that we were watching Star Wars and like, hey, look, here's things from 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
So
no, and I agree. And honestly, I hate to say this because Princess Leia... Actually, I blame Princess Leia for the death of Han Solo. Just getting that out there right now.
Han Solo had to go.
He did. No. I absolutely agree that Han Solo was... He needed to be... He needed to go.
I didn't want to spend this entire trilogy with them overemphasizing an 84-year-old Harrison Ford.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the way he went was pretty much the only way you could get rid of Han Solo. But Princess Leia said, Luke's a Jedi. You're his father. He'll listen to you. Something to that effect. It's like, now Han Solo has this false sense of confidence. He walks out on this bridge trying to convince his retarded son that he can change him to the light side, and he dies. So it is literally Princess's terrible influence over Han Solo that kills him.
Yeah. So, and actually, let's compare Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford for a second here. For one, Harrison Ford looks great on camera at this old age. Like, he just looks rugged and, like, awesome until you see him run. Anytime he runs, I'm like, oh, yeah, he's 84 years old. Or is it 84 or 74?
He's old. That's the point.
I don't want to keep quoting this.
Yeah.
He is 73. Wow, I wasn't even close.
No, you were literally over a decade off.
Let's back up. I was 11 years off. He's 73. Actually, that would have been really impressive to see him move at all.
I know.
84.
But let's be honest. If he had moved any faster than that, his bones would have snapped.
That's just something that made me giggle a little bit. I was like, man, he's looking really good. Oh, he's running.
But in his defense, he had a plane crash. Was it a plane crash?
I don't think that's why, but
he was still... They had to delay shooting because he was involved in a plane crash.
Somewhat. I could even go so far as to say all of my favorite 4, 5, and 6 moments are seeing Harrison Ford tear down corridors.
Yeah.
He does it well.
Yeah.
But, and then Carrie Fisher, which, you know... I was glad she was in the movie. It was fun. Although she does kind of look like Hillary Clinton in a pantsuit.
Oh my gosh, I hadn't thought about that. You ruined her for me. No, she's a little old. We need to bring this section to a close a little bit. But I do want to mention Luke. I think it's awesome that you can have Luke play such a pivotal role in the movie with absolutely no lines.
Yeah.
No lines whatsoever. He says nothing. He literally turns around, takes his hood off, and boom, it's over. Yeah. They stand there and stare at him for a good 10, 15 seconds. But
yeah. It felt longer than that.
It did. It felt like a week. But
like the cinematography there was not my favorite. Oh, no, we have one more character we have to talk about because he's like top 3 build cast. He's top 3. Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren. Gosh, I didn't want to talk. You're right. We do.
I liked Kylo Ren.
I liked Kylo Ren till he took his mask off. He looks like a 3-year-old. He acts like a 3-year-old, let's be honest.
I feel like he's a Star Warsy character. I feel like he definitely has his place. I was worried at first that he was going to go all Clone Wars Anakin and be like this like angsty teenager. And
he acts like an angsty...
A little bit, but Star Wars is just stories about angsty teenagers.
It's true. That's true. But no, I enjoyed the tantrums he threw. I thought that was hilarious.
Not only hilarious, I thought it was great. Like, it was good acting, good story. Like,
I don't think his acting was that bad. It's just hard to take his face seriously.
It shows, at first you think he's like this really...
hardcore,
like, powerful person, and he is in some ways, but you could see, like, that great moment whenever Rey sees into his thoughts and sees that he's most worried about not being as powerful as Darth Vader, and then you see through his, like, tantrums, his outbursts, that he's not as powerful as you think he is. He whenever he gets out of control, he pretty much just loses it, and I thought that made him an interesting villain. So.
Yeah, I agree. Now that we've talked for an ungodly amount of time on the characters, let's move on to plot. We're trying to keep this as a relatively short video.
It's not happening.
It's not going to happen. Plot, I think we can probably boil down pretty quick.
Yeah.
My biggest problem with the plot, I thought overall it was a little predictable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But my biggest, which I'm okay with, it's Star Wars. You knew that Han and Leia were going to have kids. You knew that they were going to somehow be force sensitive and involved. My biggest problem, this is it. The stupid, gigantic Death Star thing. I don't even remember what they called it. It was a Death Star wannabe, in my opinion. Technology went backwards for them. The Death Star had to be bigger to the goal of the Death Star and this new thing, whatever it's called, I can't remember, destroy planets. Now, granted, the new thing could destroy more than one planet at a time, or a planet and some moons. But think about
Star
it this
Killer.
way. The Star Killer. Wow, how original. Death Star is so much cooler. Anyway,
Death Star 3.0.
Yeah, no, Death Star like 0.5, because here's the thing. It was literally hundreds of times as big as the Death Star. It needed an external power source, and the purpose was still to kill planets. And it had to charge. If you remember, in New Hope, they get the Death Star set up. He tells them, ready the weapon, and then fire when ready. All in a matter of like 10 seconds. And they destroy a planet in 10 seconds. Okay,
but this one can destroy 5 planets.
Okay, but this one's more compact. It's more mobile. And it can destroy a planet in 10 seconds. It doesn't have to destroy an entire star.
I'm being sarcastic. It is stupid because if you compare, it's not like they didn't explain why they need to destroy 5 planets simultaneously.
I know.
They could have really just used the old Death Star, which from a power standpoint, it sounds a lot more efficient. You're right.
It's like that's the tech part of our channel. If you're going to build a Death Star, go with the original plans. Don't get this new technology malarkey. It's a complete waste. You could have built multiple Death Stars. You could have built 5 Death Stars for what it cost to build this other thing. And you could have destroyed 5 planets in different galaxies at the same time.
Yeah. But that's not really the plot. That is a plot.
No, that was my biggest problem with the plot.
My problem with the plot is basically that we've seen everything that happened before. I mean, everything. Like I said, it's very much like the first movie and the 4th movie and now the 7th movie, and pretty much what happens all the way through it.
Yeah, no, I thought it was, oh my goodness, it was really close to a clone of A New Hope. You have some person deserted on a desert island or desert planet, get saved by some bandit coming through. Well, actually, essentially, they go get this ragtag team of misfits, go destroy a Death Star, and then go off to find some super Jedi.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I don't really know what else to say about it. The quality of this movie is actually going to change to me depending on where the trilogies go with it. Yeah. Because depending what they do with the generic stuff is going to kind of change my opinion on the movie. But
yeah, no, I agree. Okay, that's our synopsis of the plot.
That's enough about the plot.
Yeah. Okay, lore. Now this should be pretty short, but like I said earlier, I was really worried about how they were going to line this up with how Star Wars is and like how different things work. Like the Force, for example. I thought that they were going to have Finn be a Jedi within the first few minutes, and they didn't, and that was huge to me. I feel that they stuck very in line with Star Wars history, Star Wars lore, how everything in the Star Wars universe works, to the point where even Han says to Finn, "That's not how the Force works." That was a beautiful line.
Yeah, that really was. Yeah.
But that's something I wanted to emphasize, is that I think they did a very good job of sticking with the whole Star Wars universe and keeping in line with how it's directed.
Okay. So, and I mentioned this in the character section, but they did do a really good job of adding a lot of, and I don't read like everything a greater Star Wars universe. I don't like read all the books and whatever other media they put out there. And but to me, there were a lot of new characters. For example, when they go to the temple, which again just felt like a great throwback, because that temple, the monsters in it felt like so many of the monsters.
Oh, they did a good job.
I'm trying to think. For example, in the bar,
the cantina,
yeah. And then of course, like the Return of the Jedi scene when they go into Jabba's palace.
Yeah,
like a lot of the characters, almost to the degree that I think they could have made some of the monsters look better. In reference to the monsters on board Han's ship, they reminded me kind of like the giant worm monster in the planet, or like I forget its name, but in Return of the Jedi, the huge beast that Jabba has stored in the basement. Just
the Rancor.
That's a Rancor. Oh,
yeah,
I was thinking of
that's
something
a
else.
Rancor.
There's my Star Wars knowledge for you. But just like these fantastical creatures that literally are never mentioned, or maybe mentioned, but are very scarcely mentioned, or you don't really see them, and then they're just like. But everyone in the universe seems to know them.
Yeah,
like everyone seems to know.
Well, and I do like how Finn referenced them in. He referenced a massacre that was in regards to these monsters. He says to Rey, "Have you heard about this massacre?" She says, "No." He says, "Well, good." Yeah. So that was. I will give you that. They tied it in well. I just thought I thought those monsters were kind of just giant teeth roly polies.
Yeah. But as far as the lore in general goes, I mean, again, I'm not the biggest Star Wars buff as far as like my knowledge of the expanded universe goes, but it all felt very natural.
Yes,
and it was clear that they got their fantastic team of writers together and consultants for a reason. It was very well put together as a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I thought so. So moving on. Aesthetics. Okay, we're talking.
We've talked about some of this stuff already, also. But
yes, but we're going to go into a little bit more depth here with this topic. Josh actually suggested this one, so I'm going to let him take the wheel here.
Yeah. So, and something I could tell from the trailers is that they did a really good job of bringing out that Star Wars feel in just the way that the movie looked. Kind of almost a combination of 1 through 6 all together, because there were elements. They took some of the good stuff from 1, 2, and 3. I feel like in the way that the Star Wars universe looked, but you definitely felt that 4, 5, and 6 look. We just talked about this, but like the CGI that they would use, for example, on the monsters in the temple, they don't look bad, but they look like they belong in Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's like you could make a more realistic looking monster, but those were like Star Wars monsters.
Yes, I agree. I don't know. I feel like I was really happy that they stuck with the TIE fighters. When Poe gets in it, it's very reminiscent of you wishing you knew what was going on inside a TIE fighter.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool. And sticking with the X-wings. The one thing I didn't like was Kylo Ren's ship. I thought those ungodly large wings were just unnecessary. Yeah. They were these giant wings that just like folded.
See, I didn't even notice it enough to like remember really what you're talking about, so it didn't bother me.
Apparently, it won't bother you if you don't remember it.
I'm gonna get into my biggest complaint for the movie. It's an aesthetic complaint.
The fact that Carrie Fisher doesn't look like she did 30 years ago.
That's mean.
I mean, it's true.
She's a nice lady.
She is a nice lady. I think she's hilarious, but we all do wish she looked the same as she used to.
So my biggest complaint, and that's that they didn't make the worlds feel otherworldly enough.
They felt like you'd been there before.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean, like, a lot of the things just felt like Earth to me. Like, complain all you want about, Phantom Menace and Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith, but there were a lot of worlds in there that, like, really felt like...
Like Kamino, the water planet.
Yeah, felt like really... whimsical is the wrong word, but, like, otherworldly. Like, not just something you find anywhere. Like, they really built the world. And, that kind of reminded me of, like, a modern-day movie that has done that extremely well. Like, Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, it feels like their worlds are just, like, built. Like, there's story. And 4, 5, and 6, lots of things felt the same like that for me. Obviously, a little limited by technology, but still felt really otherworldly. For this, there's just a lot of the scenes. I'm trying to, like, for example, at the end...
You do have... Okay, I will speak to this. Because they focus so highly on not making things CGI... They had to shoot him. They had to shoot him on planet Earth. They couldn't go to Mars and shoot the video. So, no. I mean, I understand, but if you're going to have an out of this world, you have to use CGI almost exclusively, and that's
they already did. They just did it so you couldn't tell it was there. I mean, my point is that I think they listened to the fans too much. if you took a list of the top 10 complaints that Star Wars fans had about 1 and 2 and 3, they went way too far out of their way to avoid that. And fans don't always know best. My point being, they could have pushed the aesthetics to make it look like a little more otherworldly, a little more Star Warsy than it was.
Yeah.
And like I'm going to throw out a couple examples. Like some of the stuff in the woods just feels like it could have been like in a Bond movie or something.
Or your backyard.
Yeah. At the end, whenever Rey is going to Ireland for some reason to find Luke.
Yeah, Ireland. Yeah.
Like they didn't really do anything to make that feel like a Star Wars universe.
No.
And
I'll give you that.
And you have, since we're talking about the aesthetics of the movie, the worst shot in the whole movie was the last one. That terrible helicopter shot felt way out of place.
Yeah, that's like
not even stabilized or anything.
No, that looks just like it looks like it's straight out of Braveheart.
It was just like
that whole panning.
It was like we're watching and there's her and there's Luke, and I thought that actually went on for a little bit too long. And then all of a sudden, like I just felt like, okay, this is a helicopter shot and it doesn't even look good. It was not like, even like from a professional perspective, like if I had recorded it, I'd be like, I need to go back and like focus that better and like maybe come film whenever there's not as much wind or something. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're going to get a little bit of criticism because we have a video, the Raspberry Pi video.
Oh,
we got a lot of criticism about the focus on that one.
Yeah, but I'm not being paid $1 bajillion to film Star Wars from a helicopter.
That's true. I'll give you that.
So
you don't have the professional equipment they do. But
so those are just two examples, but I felt like that kind of went through the whole movie. Like, so like think of, is it Endor?
Endor is the one with the Ewoks.
Yeah.
I believe.
Think of Endor.
If I'm wrong, I'm sorry.
That's just,
but I'm pretty sure.
That's just California, right? That they filmed a lot of those.
Yeah, it's in gosh, is it the Redwood?
Yeah,
Forest?
Yeah.
Yeah, where the really tall trees.
So yeah, like think of sure, like the swamp. Yeah, like the swamp, Endor. Those, well, Endor is actually probably a better example. My point being, like that's just the United States and where we live, and it feels so otherworldly in the movie.
Yeah,
but
it does.
But there's nothing that really evoked that sense of like, wow, this is a place I haven't seen before, and it doesn't exist, but it's got all this story, and it just pops out of the screen.
Yeah, I think we beat this to a pulp. That dead horse is probably pretty.
Well, I said it was my biggest complaint. I said buckle up because
okay, fair enough.
We've been raving about the movie, and I said it was great, and it is great. I just wanted to make sure to get that off my shoulders.
Okay, I'll go with that. By the way, I do want to mention one thing. I love how on the first planet, I can't remember what it's called, the Tatooine wannabe. That's what I'll call it. And they
which was inferior to Tatooine.
But what was so cool is all of the destroyed ships
yeah.
on the planet and how they like showed people like scavenging them and living in them. I thought that was brilliant.
It was pretty cool how they kept the theme going of referring to the Millennium Falcon as a hunk of junk.
Yes, that was pretty cool. And how they find out, oh my gosh, this is the legendary Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
And how it's so old and it still holds such a strong place in the history books, like for them.
Yeah.
Like it's still legendary.
Yeah.
So next topic we want to discuss, like we have it listed here as Star Wars status, but
this movie's place in the overall Star Wars universe, how we feel it fits.
Yeah, like in the 7 movies that have been made, where our opinions. This is, by the way, guys, this is all our opinion. This is not.
No. This is fact.
This is all our opinions. And we obviously can't cover all the bases that we want to in discussions about this movie. I could go on for hours about my thoughts about this movie, but we're trying to keep it pretty concise. But we're gonna go on to where it falls in the lineup. And I guess I'll leave it to you, Josh.
All right, so me. It's probably my 3rd favorite Star Wars movie. My personal favorite is Empire Strikes Back, really original, I know. My 2nd favorite is Return of the Jedi, and that's not because I think it's really the best movie. I know lots of people have complaints about it, but that's probably the one I rewatched the most as a kid, just over and over and over again. So Ewoks, they don't bother me at all. I think those guys are awesome, and I'm not saying that as an adult with like a more empirical evaluation of that, I just really like Return of the Jedi. I've seen it a lot of times. So that's my second favorite. I'd put this at third, but I mean, it really hangs in there with the best of them.
It does.
And then after that, I mean, does it really matter? I mean, obviously, A New Hope is fourth, Phantom Menace probably 5, Clone Wars 6, Revenge of the Sith 7th. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah. My opinion, and give us a little bit of description as to why it falls in there.
Yeah.
What makes the two better, and what makes the originals, okay. We don't have... It's
been a little bit since I've seen the originals, but I'll just kind of wing it. I guess it hasn't been that long, but Empire Strikes Back was just the perfect Star Wars movie for me. I love it from start to finish. I think as far as trilogies go, it's also my favorite second movie in a trilogy. It's got enough of giving you answers and like turning things around, but also wanting you to go on to the third movie. Like, it just does that really well. It's hard for me to objectively say whether it's actually better. It's just how it stands for me right now. And then I already explained, like, Return of the Jedi. It's just like a nostalgia thing almost.
Okay. Fair enough. I'll give you that.
What about for you?
For me, it ties for second best movie, and I'll explain that. First one for me is A New Hope. And then this one ties for second for Return of the Jedi. And then after that, obviously, Empire Strikes Back. Phantom Menace is number 5. And then the other two are a wash. I don't care about them, really. I don't think they're good movies. It's depressing, and I know they're part of Star Wars. I just don't find any particular part about them specifically redeeming. But I'll explain why I like A New Hope the best. I love the introduction of the characters. Uh-oh.
No, continue.
Okay.
I was just looking something up.
I love the introduction of the characters. And just like how... my favorite part about it is it's one movie. You can watch... And don't get me wrong, it's the first part of a trilogy, but it was originally designed to be one movie. And they filmed it as one movie. So you can sit and watch the whole movie and be content at the end of the sitting. With Empire Strikes Back, you go into it with having to have watched A New Hope. Mm-hmm. And if you don't remember parts of A New Hope, you have to go back and watch it after you watch The Empire Strikes Back. Yep. And then it doesn't have a conclusion, which I find really frustrating. Because then now you feel like you have to watch Return of the Jedi after you see it.
Yeah.
So that's why Empire Strikes Back doesn't make it into my top 3. Why this one ties Return of the Jedi. I honestly think I like Return of the Jedi better as a movie, but the reason it ties is the same reason A New Hope is one of my tops. Is because this is a whole movie. You can watch it from beginning to end. You don't need a whole lot of backstory to know what's going on, and you are satisfied that you've watched a full film at the end of the day. It's got a conclusion. It's got a beginning. So for me, that's why I feel that way. But don't get me wrong. The reason Return of the Jedi ties is you've just got... Darth Vader is so developed as a character by then, and he becomes... You've got the essence of Darth Vader. I'm sorry, I'm a huge Darth Vader fan. You've got the essence of Darth Vader, and...
I think Kylo Ren's better than Darth Vader.
We're not going to talk about that. I
just wanted to see if you would flip out. I don't actually think that.
Okay, good. We're not going to talk about that. But anyway, the other reason is my absolute favorite character in the entire series gets very well developed. And you might be surprised. It's not Han Solo. It's not Princess Leia. It's not Luke Skywalker. It's not Darth Vader. My absolute favorite character in all this series is Lando Calrissian.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
I love his camaraderie with Han Solo, like their love-hate relationship, and his already well-established relationship with Han and Chewie, and how he takes the Millennium Falcon, and like he's really the only guy in the world Han would trust with the Millennium Falcon.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, Lando was a great character.
So he's my all-time favorite, and that's another reason Return of the Jedi ties this movie. So I think between the two of us, you can see how great of a movie, where we place it, should tell you how great of a movie this actually is.
And I was optimistic going into it. My personal stance was it can't possibly be worse than 1, 2, and 3, and I don't think Disney is dumb enough to go into it if they thought it was going to be worse than that.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of faith in Abrams as a director, just from the work he's been doing in recent years. I felt like he was the perfect man for the job. I can't think of another director, really.
I'll agree with that. He did a fantastic job with the revamp of Star Trek. And I was never a Trekkie before now. I won't even call myself a Trekkie now, but I really, really enjoyed the most recent Star Trek movies.
I can't be a Trekkie because I can only do this thing with this hand. This hand is impossible for me to do it.
I can do it, both hands. But anyway, we're on Star Wars, not Star Trek. But yeah, J.J. Abrams did a fantastic job. I went into this movie ready to be disappointed, and it would not have taken much for me to be disappointed in this movie. It literally would have taken virtually nothing.
Yeah, no, literally, because I came out of the movie and I was like, I really liked it, and I was like, man, should I contact Matt? He probably hated it for some petty reason. I wonder what it's gonna be.
No, and we discussed, there are things we disliked about it.
BB-2,
BB-8.
Okay.
We're going to have to cut this into the characters section because we didn't discuss BB-8 at all.
Okay, just an addendum. Perfect robot addition to the universe.
I think they did a very good job.
I don't want to say more expressive than R2.
Well, here's how I feel.
It's like a modern R2 to me. They used the technology. They obviously couldn't have made BB-8 in the originals.
No.
But so expressive.
I agree with that.
Lighter thing was hilarious.
Yes, the lighter thing was awesome. But no, here's what I like. They have the trifecta now for droids. They have the absolute nerdy, just guy you want to strangle in C-3PO. Uh-huh. They have the cool, slick, kind of badass little droid in R2-D2. They've got the loyal puppy in BB-8, and I love that. He was just a puppy. He didn't have that talk back to you attitude that R2 had,
no.
which I really appreciate. That's another reason I'm glad they didn't get rid of R2, because you kind of need that snippy, just not taking no for an answer R2 character. But BB-8 fulfilled his role perfectly. So I think we've kind of covered our conclusion.
I'll conclude myself. Thank you very much.
Well, fine.
You can.
I'll throw in a little thing there at the end too.
You can do your thing. Overall, great movie. I mean, personally, I'm 9.5 out of 10. I should really say 10 out of 10. I mean, how good does a movie have to be for you to say it's a 10 out of 10?
I know.
It was just a really great movie. You should see it. Why wouldn't you? It's good.
Yeah, no.
But, with my nitpicky things about the aesthetics and not liking the amount of throwbacks, just Han, or was it Han? Someone's shuffling through things in the Millennium Falcon, and it's oh, there's Luke's little droid thing that he blocks. Apart from those tiny little Star Wars fan nitpicky things, I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, I honestly,
thank you, Disney.
Yes, thank you so much, Disney. We need to hashtag them on Twitter or something. But no, I honestly liked all the little things they threw back. And another thing I want to mention very quick. I love how Rey is now piloting the Millennium Falcon with Chewie. Uh-huh. Just throwing that in there. Don't need to go into too much detail. I think it was a fantastic addition.
That absolutely was perfect.
Yes. Don't want to go into too much detail, but and like I said, we could talk for days about this movie. But my conclusion is definitely worth seeing. Very well done. Disney, you outdid yourself. I hope
you've already seen it if you're watching this.
Yeah, if you're not,
are you stupid?
if you haven't watched the movie already.
Not only will what we say have not made sense to you if you hadn't seen it, we would have just spoiled everything.
By the way, I don't know if we said this enough. Han dies.
Yeah.
It's a spoiler, but no. It's it was a fantastic film.
Han dies? I think I was in Alvin and the Chipmunks.
No, nobody went to see that. I'm not kidding. Nobody went to see that movie. But no,
$0 at the box office. New
that's
record.
yeah. Star Wars breaks new record high. Chipmunks breaks new record low. But no, it was fantastic movie. And I think that pretty much concludes this. I don't want to continue beating the dead horse of that was a fantastic movie.
So, we hope you like this format. Obviously, this is the first time we're trying it. This is just our low-key back and forth discussion.
Yeah, very casual. Very casual.
We might do it again in the future. We'll see. Depends if we have a reason to do it. I guess.
We're trying out a new discussion format.
And we might even bring in some other friends. Have a little roundtable discussion.
Yeah, and we're not going to be exclusive. If you want to have us do like a discussion about computer hardware like this,
or games,
or
other movies.
Yeah, other movies. So. And I'm repeating exactly what he says. But no, we can go back. If you guys like this, if you guys like this discussion setup, let us know. If you hate how we ranted on for 45 minutes now, let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And hopefully we'll see you guys in the near